the Dame Lillard situation is complete. He has been traded to a team starting with the letter M, but it's not Miami. It's Milwaukee. Milwaukee Bucks. I present you to break down this trade first for everybody on the podcast who are just now finding us out. The Bucks get Damian Lillard. The Blazers, they get Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Tamani Kamara, a 2029 pick from the Bucks, and another pick swap from the Bucks. The Phoenix Suns, by the way, this is the 3-team trade. The Phoenix Suns, however, also they get Joseph Nurkic, Nasir Little, Keon Johnson, and Grayson Allen. So that is your full trade of this Damian Lillard saga. Obviously, everybody's laughing at me. The Heat didn't get what they wanted, and da-da-da. You saw this trade, Zach, earlier today. What were your thoughts?
I mean, my initial thought was Milwaukee's got to be now the new favorite in Vegas. And you know what happened? They are. Milwaukee is the number 1 seed to win the next ring. So, kudos to Milwaukee. I from what I've seen so far, until things happen and guys start to get hurt like Lillard will, up front, all 3 teams, I think, made out. I don't think any of the 3 teams could say they got screwed.
I would say, in my opinion, 2 to 3 teams made out here. I think obviously Milwaukee, you get Dame Lillard, you get better. I think Phoenix is the underrated team here in this situation because Ayton, while I agree Ayton's probably the better talent than Nurkic, Ayton's attitude, it's a bigger ceiling. We agree to that, but Ayton don't want to be there anymore. And Nurkic is gonna find a new lease on life in Phoenix. Okay, and I think I think at the very least that's a wash. Because there's no questions that Ayton's gonna be reach the potential he should be reaching.
See, I believe it's a positive for both because, like you said, Ayton doesn't want to be there, but he is an all-star caliber player.
If he wants to be,
yeah,
of course.
And now he gets that chance because he is he is the man on that team. You can say what you want to say, but Ayton will get to be the man. He's not gonna have to listen, play to everyone else, and be the 4 seed. So it works to him. And then Nurkic, he knows how to play up against Jokic. So you have a guy who has probably played more often against him, has more experience guarding him. And so when you meet up with him in the playoffs, you're going to be in a better position. Not to mention, it cuts your luxury tax again.
Yeah. Also, Drew Holiday they're looking to move him again. Drew Holiday somewhere else. So Drew Holiday will not be on I'm assuming will not be in Portland by the start of the season because it's already out there. They're going to try to trade him something else also too. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. Let's bring on the Heat part real quick. The Miami Heat part. The assumption was that Miami was the only. Obviously, that's what they really wanted to go. The talk was in the last couple of weeks that the Heat and Blazers were not engaged in any talks, and they hadn't engaged in talks in months actually. And in fact, no phone calls were returned and none of that stuff. Just found out today, like after this trade went down, that it was only in the last week that after Miami was not engaging with Portland because there was no Portland didn't want any Miami pieces on that only in the last week did Brooklyn also and Brooklyn and Milwaukee were contacted as well as Toronto were only involved last minute because Miami was not engaging. I think the point was Miami was trying to call their bluff because Dame Lillard wanted to go to Miami, and once there was no engagement there, is what it is. My opinion, I still think from the Portland end, if the offers we heard during the summer were actually accurate, the heroes and draft picks and pieces, I still believe those are actually a better offer for Portland. I think those are better for Portland than what they got in this deal. Because essentially, Drew Holiday's not going to be there. Drew Holiday's not going to be there. So the only piece you got is DeAndre Ayton. Okay, fine.
Exactly. But here, let's slow this down. Holiday is an all-star point guard, right?
Yes.
He was this past season.
Right.
And yet they're looking to trade him because they already have 3 very young guards that they have drafted back to back to back. What would be the point of trading for a hero as the centerpiece of that trade?
Well, the problem is Holiday's also a older piece too. Also, forget that. I don't know what kind of return you get on Holiday. What do you think Holiday will get in the market right now?
It doesn't matter. Age at that point. Portland drafted 3 guys in consecutive years that are 6'1" or 6'2" or 6 foot tall. Why would they trade for a hero as a centerpiece? That was why they were asking for Bam. There was no piece that y'all were throwing in there that would have made Phoenix or Portland competitive.
Well, Bam is the reason they want to go to Miami in the first place. So it's pointless. If you're going to trade Bam away from Dame, no point in doing the trade. Just keep the team you have.
I don't know if he was really the reason, or he didn't want to lose Bam because he was going there, and it would be
because if you trade Bam and say get Damian, and let's say after the trade happens, Bam goes Portland or whatever, and Dame goes Miami. Miami's no better. In fact, I could argue they probably got worse.
Exactly. So you weren't willing to give up a piece for that team to get better at any point. Why would they make the trade to send Lillard to Miami then? If you're not going to allow them to get better through the trade also, it was highway robbery what Miami was trying to give them.
So you think Riley fucked up?
Absolutely. He wanted to pretend that if they put in Hero in the trade, who's a great player, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
He's probably a top 40 player in the league right now.
Yeah.
But you include him, that he is meaningless to Portland. You're literally saying, hey, Portland, go fuck one of your last 3 years picks that you made. Here's Hero. And they weren't going to do that.
Makes sense. I can see logic there. So let's discuss real quick. Portland's rebuilding forever. They're not even a topic anymore. That's over now. They're irrelevant. You watch Scoot Henderson. That's about it. Scoot Henderson. That's it. But other than that, on League Pass, other than that, that's all I care about.
I haven't even seen enough of him to think Scoot Henderson's worth watching.
Right. Well, we'll watch him this year, obviously.
Yeah.
Let's talk Milwaukee, because Milwaukee was probably, even with the pieces they had before this trade, if not the favorite in the East, certainly 1A, 1B of Boston. I wasn't convinced that Boston was the head odds-on favorite. To me, I had those two teams neck and neck, no matter what.
Well, I thought the offseason moves prior to this trade put Boston as the number 1 seed.
You think so? Okay.
But with this trade, what that does to open up the floor and take pressure off of Giannis, and the fact Middleton cannot stay healthy ever, and now you have 2 scorers that can just dominate from anywhere, I think it is huge for Milwaukee. Second, you had been hearing Giannis talk about he doesn't know if he wants to stay in Milwaukee. He needs to see a commitment.
That's the key thing there. And we probably shouldn't be surprised now, given what he said 2 weeks ago about one. And by the way, kudos to Giannis for being transparent about that. I like players who are honest about that. Listen, I want to win. So if listen, I'll stay in Milwaukee, but you got to keep building around me. You got to keep adding to this team. Yep. And I think Milwaukee took that. I don't even call it a threat. Let's be honest. And that's what you got. So favorites in the East, right? Right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Now
in the league now, are the favorites to win the whole thing, or are you still putting Denver? Are you still putting Phoenix? Because I think Phoenix came out well in this trade also too.
I actually think this put Phoenix as the number 1 seed. Ooh. I can understand Vegas making Milwaukee the favorite because the East is a little weaker.
The track is easier,
West, in my opinion.
Correct. No, it is. You're right.
When you look at the top-heavy teams, there are only 2 in the East: Boston and Milwaukee. Miami had to catch breaks, and Philly, guess what? They are the breaks for everybody because they're going to be hurt. and there's gonna be issues.
And I thought about that too when the trade went down. I was like, if I'm Philadelphia, if I'm Joel Embiid, I'm like, wow. So not only we weren't even like in the conversation of being a top 2 team or 3 team, if that matter, in the East before the trade. Certainly now there's distance between themselves and that. You still got to get rid of James Harden. That's still a problem on your roster. Okay, you don't know what you're getting back with that. I'm Joel Embiid. I'm thinking, are you sure you want to be here long term? Because it would not shock me if Joel Embiid in the next 2 years says, you know what, trade me. Because other than that, with his injury history, if you want to get value from now at this point and you want to win as a top guy, one of the top core guys, I think next year or 2 is probably the time to do it. Philly, I don't see Philly getting any better, honestly, at this point.
I'm gonna hold my judgment just because, like, just saw with this trade with Milwaukee and Portland, and anything could happen. Anybody's willing to take a gamble on a player. So maybe you find a third team to send Harden to, while still getting back great pieces from another team.
Yeah.
So.
And again, we'll have a season preview of the NBA next week. We'll do a much more elaborate deep dive into that. I agree with you on Phoenix though. I don't know if I put them number 1 necessarily, but if you were saying Denver's number 1 before this happened, at the very least, this could be close to a wash between the 2 teams.
Well, I think the reason why I do say it is because it changes the whole atmosphere in the locker room.
Mm-hmm. Getting out of there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm sorry, Lakers. I know you had a great offseason. This hurts you guys because you get healthy KD, you get healthy Bradley Beal and those guys with Jokic and those guys with Denver, of course, being defending titles. All the goodwill LA had going into the season now, that might hurt because Phoenix has got in my opinion, got better.
Absolutely.
So again, we'll talk more about this next week on the podcast. On when we do our season preview next week, next Thursday, break down all the over-unders because I'm glad. It's funny, a little behind the curtain here for listeners here. I had we had planned on doing it on Thursday, but I told Zach and Chris that if the trade didn't go down by next Thursday, we'll do something else in that spot because I wanted to do the season preview once the Dame trade was done, or at least close to being done.
Yeah, and it was with the expectation for Miami.
Shut up. Yeah, I'm still hurting right now, buddy. I'm still hurting, man. I'm really hurt. So I don't know, man. It sucks, but I will say this much:
put some chips in, man.
Well, I will say this now, and you guys, you already know this on a personal level. My number 2 team is Milwaukee because of Giannis. So if Dame's going somewhere, better him to go there than go to Boston, who I can't stand, or go to Philadelphia, I can't stand, or the Knicks, I can't stand, or the Lakers. You know what I'm saying? So better to go to a team that I would root for if the Heat weren't in the playoffs last year again because of Giannis. So I'm not terribly sad about that, but I'm sad on my end because of the Heat fan. I wanted him here. But I'm actually, and I remember saying, I said on Twitter a couple times in the last couple of weeks, the more this longest thing went out, I was like, you know what? As much as I want Dame here, I tweeted this last night for the trade. As much as I want Dame here, I'm actually kind of excited and curious about the young talent around this team. I think he's actually drafted pretty well. I'm really curious how this core with Hero, Bam, and Jimmy for another couple of years, see if they can put something special here. They've done a good job with the development here. So,
I
mean, again, 2 finals in 4 years, and they went to the third one, 2 years ago. So,
like I said, they always catch breaks in the playoffs.
Yeah, it is what it is. So, anyway,